A new approach to learning for a Vancouver high school, how it's getting away from teacher lectures using technology, and when the change takes effect. Plus, the game of chess and the game of life, how this teenage chess master is preparing himself for the future, one move at a time. And in our Snapshot flashback, an historic decision in 1929 that put Vancouver at the forefront of a new idea in education. It's all coming up in today's Snapshot. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Elena Buller. For years, Lewis and Clark High School has helped students on the verge of dropping out and those who don't learn as well in traditional classrooms. But a change is coming. Here's a quick overview of Lewis and Clark in our snapshot. The school serves about 300 students with a non-traditional approach. Many of the current students struggled in regular schools either with academic performance or behavior issues. Starting next September, the school is revamping its approach to teaching and learning using technology. Joining me now to talk about it all is Principal Rob Duncan. Rob, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. First of all, I want to talk about the whole revamping of the school. You guys are kind of focusing on one thing. It's called blended learning. Can you kind of explain what that is?
Correct. So blended learning is actually a pretty broad term, and basically it just means that we're combining e-learning or computer-based learning with face-to-face learning as well. So e-learning with teacher time. And so the model we're using for our redesign is a flex model.
Okay.
And I can explain a little bit more about that.
How is that how is that different than what we're calling a traditional school? Traditional learning? How is that different?
Right. So in the flex model, students spend a pretty big chunk of their day learning from a computer-based learning system. And the flex part of it has to do with the fact that students have control over when and how they do that learning. So they get to select, am I going to do math first, am I going to do biology first, am I going to do AP last? They really have control over which courses, and their schedule.
So they're going to kind of set the day, set their schedule to however they see fit.
Correct. Mostly though. So there's this hitch. The flex model also incorporates having face-to-face time with your teachers. And so each week teachers will build a schedule based upon students' individual needs, and they'll post that schedule at the beginning of the week. And so then students will look at, do I have, we'll probably call them breakout sessions. Do I have a breakout session that I need to be going to this day? And they'll be able to plan their week based on that.
So there is somebody there keeping an eye on students and kind of guiding them and
Correct.
And making sure, who's kind of checking their work and making sure things are going? Is it that teacher?
Correct. So students will have what we call an advisor. So that will be one of their teachers, and it oversees that student in all of their academic areas. And then they'll also have their individual teachers for their different courses. So both their advisor and their teachers will check on their progress. And the students will actually have the capability of looking at their own progress. So every day,
tracking it.
Exactly. So I can check in and see how I'm doing. So it's not a big mystery of do I need to catch up or anything.
Or
like
what
that.
am I getting in this class, or what's my grade, or how are things going?
Right.
Why make this change? What was the push?
So Lewis and Clark has always been focused on personalized education, on personalized learning, and allowing students to have a big say in that. And so it just seemed like a natural transition to go to a blended learning model, which incorporated the technology component to really allow for up-to-the-minute personalization. So it wasn't a monthly thing or by a quarter. We can actually look and work with students based on their performance day to day.
So this kind of seems like something that a move in the future. I mean, it sounds like this is the way most schools will be going eventually. Are you guys kind of on the cutting edge? Or?
It could be. We're certainly on the forefront for schools in Vancouver public schools, and that's part of the Design 2 initiative about 21st century learning and 21st century learning environments. So looking at how do we blend the use of technology with high quality teachers and highly qualified teachers to really maximize student learning.
And how do you think this is going to benefit kids? I mean, the kids that are going to be going to your school.
Right. So for us, we see the biggest benefit in student engagement. Students who have investment in their own learning are going to, obviously be more engaged in what they're doing, and so then the expectation is that means that then they're going to be, performing better, completing their coursework, and ultimately becoming, better citizens as they graduate.
Their own, like, advocate, basically.
Right, exactly.
Their own cheerleader. How is the staff playing a role in this, and how's that all changing, switching to? I mean, it sounds like you're going to have to do things.
Yeah, things will be different. Our staff is really excited about it. I mean, obviously, it's a big change for a lot of things, but we have a pretty flexible staff to begin with. So, looking at using time differently.
It's not something new to these guys.
A little bit, yeah. It'll still be a little bit new, but I think that a lot of them look at it as a challenge. I certainly do. I'm very excited about it, but I also know there's a lot of work, ahead. But I think the outcome will be fantastic.
So we just spoke about how Vancouver School District is on the forefront of this, but you actually got a chance to visit a classroom in California who's already practicing the blended learning model. Let's take a look at a little bit of video, and maybe you can kind of explain this. What is this?
This is a breakout session, so it's a science class where a teacher, this is a teacher going around and helping individual students while they're working at their workstations, and this is a snapshot of a student workstation area. So students have their own places to be working on computers, their own laptop to be working, and really setting their own pace as their day goes by.
So that's an example right here is an example of the flexible learning space.
Correct.
Okay. So and what does that mean, flexible learning space? We didn't really.
So the flexible learning space is the area where the students have, basically their workstation, if you will, kind of like their office space.
Okay.
And so students will be able to work there individually. That's where they're working with their computer-based technology. But they also are allowed to work collaboratively. So, if I'm working on, let's say, algebra and I'm having a hard time, I might be able to lean over to the person next to me, and maybe I know they're working on algebra too, and I could ask them for some help as well. Because part of what we want to do is really help our students learn how to collaborate as well as use the individual computer systems.
Right, because some people might say this seems like you might be isolating kids a little bit too much who already aren't maybe working well with others, and so that's not true.
No, not at all. And really what we're trying to do is empower students to be in charge of their learning. So another example of using the flex time might be a student project. Let's say in my history class I have a project that I'm working on, and perhaps my teacher has said, okay, you're going to take the sides of the revolutionaries and you're going to have to debate that against somebody who's the loyalists. Okay, so what I might need to do with my team is look at my weekly schedule, and let's say there's 5 people on my team. We all look at our schedules and we determine, okay, hey, Wednesday at 10 o'clock we have some time, we're going to get together and work in a small group. And that's controlled by the students, not by the teacher saying, okay, Wednesday during class you're going to do this.
It sounds a lot like college, really. I mean, that's kind of what I remember doing.
Yeah, certainly more similar in terms of time management. And so I think that's one of the exciting things is that for a student who's interested in having that, a little bit more control, there won't be a traditional day. And the schedules will change from week to week, because at the end of each week, the teachers will look at, okay, where are students, where they need to be. They can look at the data on student progress and really, let's say that there are some students who need some additional help. Then next week, as a teacher, I can say to those students, okay, I want you to come in and get some additional help, and really focus on those students getting the additional help. Whereas the other students in that class, if they're doing great, they keep on working. It also gives teachers opportunity to take those students who are excelling and do some enrichment activities.
Further,
exactly.
Maybe. Yeah.
Exactly.
Great. That sounds great. Is there anything else you want to add? Did we forget anything?
don't know. There's so much about it, and
I did want to ask, the breakout sessions, the video we first saw, the very first clip, it was of a teacher kind of in front, and that's
Right.
still very technology based. I mean, he's up in front of a huge screen. It's not like he's right in front of a blackboard, but so the teachers really have to get up to snuff on their technology.
Certainly, and we incorporate technology into our classes using whiteboards and Prezi and different types of presentations, and so we'll continue to do that. But the breakout sessions will actually vary depending upon what's going on. They might be a teacher, led type, typical class. It might be a Socratic seminar, so students get together and really, kind of go in depth on a subject. It might be presentations, debates, labs. It gives students to have an opportunity to really kind of focus in on those things during that breakout session time, whereas more of the instruction was happening on their computer-based system.
Right. It just sounds so interesting and really fun. So good luck to you, and thank you so much for being here.
You bet. My pleasure.
All right. Thank you. If you want to learn more about the new program at Lewis & Clark, it's holding an open house on February 21st at 6:30 p.m. that is open to the public. Lewis & Clark is located at 2901 General Anderson Avenue in Vancouver. It's just a couple blocks north of 4th Plain Boulevard. Time for our Snapshot Profile, a look at the people who make Vancouver Public Schools such a great place. Today we meet Samir Sen, a high schooler who's put a lot of his life into the game of chess, only to find that chess teaches him a lot about the game of life.
I guess you can say I'm the master at chess.
It may sound like Samir Sen is bragging, but he's not. The 15-year-old Skyview student is a certified national chess master, the #1 player his age in the state, and the 13th ranked player his age in the nation. It's a title he can keep the rest of his life, and one earned with hundreds, maybe thousands of hours of practice.
When I was about 6 years old, my dad taught me how to play chess. Every single day I would play my dad. Every single day I would lose.
And then it clicked.
One day we had left the position on a board open, and my dad had said checkmate, which would mean I lost, but then the position was on the board. And I came back a few days later, and I realized that it was not checkmate, and I could just win his queen.
Samir began to compete, traveling to Seattle and Nevada, and finishing second in a major tournament in Philadelphia.
And that was actually probably one of my proudest moments.
It's safe to say he's obsessed with the game.
What I really like about chess is that it pushes you. So like your opponents, not only the board pushes you, but your opponents push you. And every time your opponent pushes you, you push yourself harder.
Now, once a week, this young chess master is giving kids at the Southwest Washington Boys and Girls Club the same gift his dad gave him at a young age, the gift of chess.
It helps them with their thinking. It's been shown, research has shown that it helps them in math, and basically any school subject.
It teaches kids much more than just the rules of chess, but teaches them patience. It teaches them respectfully waiting for the other player to finish their turn, and really like strategizing. And that's what I realized, that he's not here just for the game, but he's here to teach them those life values too. And I can tell he really puts a lot of time into that.
Samir says he's discovered those life values on the board.
All the lessons that I've learned in chess, I can find ways I can apply them to life.
And whether he realizes it or not, Samir is imparting another lesson on the kids in his chess club.
He's always here so faithfully too, and I think that's important for the kids because they see that someone will show up for them every week, and that'll make a big impact on them to realize that someone cares for them that much, that they're going to be here every week for them at 4 o'clock, and they can always rely on them. So.
The Boys and Girls Clubs of Southwest Washington have a lot of great programs for kids. It's located within the Jim Parsley Community Center at 4040 Plamondon Street in Vancouver. You can learn more about the club at www.mybgc.org. It's time now to go back into history in today's Snapshot Flashback. Let's go back to 1929 when Vancouver became just the second district in the state to build a new type of school, a junior high. It was the dream of Superintendent Charles Shumway to build it. He was stunned when he accompanied the school board to the construction site and saw the name on the front, Shumway Junior High. It was a fitting tribute to the man who worked so hard to get the school built along Main Street just north of downtown. In the 90s, after the junior high had been closed, the building was renovated and reopened as Vancouver's School of Arts and Academics. And we're just about out of time. I want to thank Rob Duncan for coming in today. And remember, you can see past episodes of Snapshot on the district's YouTube page. That's youtube.com/VanSDTV. Thanks for watching. I'm Elena Buller.